How do we fix our emission issues in America?
Mission issues?
Emissions.
Emissions.
I'm not saying get rid of them.
emission.
I'm not saying get rid of them.
We gotta talk about something
Emission.
offline.
How do we
Ooh.
fix our emissions issue, especially with government overreach in it?
Emissions
Because you
issues.
drive a diesel, I drive electric, so I'm taxed
So,
on that. You
Yeah,
are taxed on diesel.
and I've got death fluid and all that
Yep.
jazz. How about this?
All right.
How about we accept the fact that it is not the individual that is the biggest issue, it is the corporations that are the biggest
Yes.
issues. How many coal plants do we still have in the United States? Why is the United States not fully 100% everything on either nuclear power, tidal power, or what's the geyser power? Geothermal power.
Geothermal, yeah.
Yes. Why are we not covered on this? And I'm not saying windmill power. Do you know why I'm not saying windmills?
Because it doesn't produce enough.
Because it doesn't produce enough,
And it also
and it
doesn't
is actually
transport.
more destructive.
Yep.
And we cannot utilize those things as we replace them for maintenance issues. Because we've just got fucking yards of these things stacked up in the desert
Yep.
somewhere that we don't know what to do with these fucking shits.
So you want to
Just
push
like
King
Tesla
for an
batteries.
issue emissions
Yes.
across the board. All right.
And I'm stating explicitly that it is not on the individual, hold the corporation. Very passionate about it, but do you know that the carbon footprint, the individual's carbon footprint,
Ouch.
was a corporate push? Was a corporate? Yeah, no, I pushed it.
Okay.
Was a corporate push.
Highness.
And it was propaganda from corporations in order to push off the responsibilities on you and me instead of corporations as a whole.
And this, yes, I actually do, because this started around 1970s, the first time we had the electric car. The first time we had the
That
electric
is not the first time we had the electric car. Thank you very much.
You're right. It's not the first time we had the electric car. First time electric car was mass produced for society to buy, and it went about 90 miles, and that was it.
Yep.
Because it was Northeast that really, really pushed it. Northeast coast, and they pushed it, and the cars stole, and I use that word properly, stole from the previous electric cars. And that's all it was. It was a very small economy car.
Yeah.
That's what it was, to help emissions at the time, because we didn't have gas, we didn't have oil, we didn't have this. Not that we didn't have it, we just weren't making it available.
Hey, can I ask you a question in relation to electric cars?
Mhm.
Because you're an electric car driver. How much of your power is derived by fossil fuels?
Oh, fucking all of it.
Yeah. We have
My car is not energy efficient by any way.
we have one nuclear power station in Texas. One.
We get, I think it's at my house, we get, I think it's 0.02% of that. Because our energy bill breaks down where we get our energy. We get 0.02. But I only spend $30 a month on my charge every month. So in comparison to me, that's worth it.
Kel.
What?
Emissions. Fix
Emissions.
emissions.
Fix
King for an
emissions.
issue.
Burn every car in the world and start riding bicycles again and walk places.
But that would only fix the consumer. That wouldn't fix the...
Yeah, it would, because then the plants would stop producing vehicles because there's no demand for the vehicles.
Okay, so your subject, let's take vehicles completely out of it. All vehicles are gone from Earth. Period. Dot the end. How do you fix plastics being made?
Hey, real quick. There are 94 commercial reactors with a net capacity of 94.7 gigawatts in the United States. That is not nearly enough nuclear reactors, and the number of those nuclear reactors who have outdated technology is very significant.
All those reactors aren't enough to just support Texas.
Yeah.
Just Texas.
But as you were saying,
if we take cars out of the equation completely, emissions are still being produced by factories, still being produced by plastics, by phones, by anything that you have, including glass.
Anything that you need power to produce causes emissions because of the technology that we're using to produce that power.
Emissions is more than just cars.
Everyone thinks emissions
Absolutely.
is cars.
Let's stop using hairspray.
We mostly
stop using aerosols, because those are actually more harmful to the ozone layer than most vehicle emissions.
They're no harmful than any other technological plant making anything
right.
technologically
And
wise.
then what happens to motherboard chips out of computers when they're done? They get buried in the earth. Tesla batteries getting buried in the earth.
They don't bury them.
Okay, but we're not talking about general pollution. We're specifically talking about emissions.
How do you fix emissions? King for an issue. You have all the power in the world to see this issue from A to Z. How do you fix emissions? Your step one is take out all cars out of the equation.
Honestly, it has to go back to like times of King David.
So you want us to go back
to
the Stone Age?
No, biblical
with
times.
everything that goes along with that?
You're talking more Stone Age where we don't have technology, right?
No,
you want us to remove technology?
You can go back to biblical times. There's no, absolutely.
So do you want to go back to a time when there was no penicillin?
How do you fix medicine?
Do you want to go back to a time when your child would die of gout?
I mean, this is why I love King for an issue. King for an issue is your specific opinion on how you would fix this.
You can't fix this.
But that's why
in the aspect of there's a perfect fix.
But there is no perfect fix, but there is a way to better the situation without negatively impacting the population.
But the emissions that we
it's hard. It's a hard issue.
I'll tell you what will fix it: abortion.
Well, this isn't meth, bro.
Less kids, less footprint.
So what he's saying is that we need to nuke the world, wipe humanity out,
to fix emissions,
and then it fixes emissions.
Hey, you know what? The Bible does say the world will end by circles of fire.
Keeper, wow. How do we fix emissions? Realistic.
So you brought up yours. And again, this is just our own opinion on.
You brought this up, so I'm sure you've got an answer.
I do have. My first step would stop giving credits to organizations, to companies.
Like who?
Pay.
Oh, credits like monetary
credits.
Pollution credits. Emission credits. They give it to them because they pay so much money for this credit.
Oh, like credit says you have these many credits to use in.
They can pollute so much because they pay so much money.
That can go into coffee.
It was like, no. You have
a certain amount of tolerance.
We need a blanket. No, you're this. I don't care if you have $1 billion. Don't care. You have this. Consumer has this. We are doing this. This is the blanket statement. This is the letter of the law. Do that. And just have, if we seriously have a blanket statement across the board, I do believe emissions would go down. Only because people don't want to pay money for all these emissions. Think about it. If your average consumer has to pay the same thing as what your billionaire consumer wants to spend.
Yeah, but let's go back to the motorcycle tax versus, his
I
vehicle
still
tax.
agreed on that.
We're having to pay the same tax that he's having to pay. Why are we having to pay the same tax he has to pay when he's putting out more emissions? I still agree across the board. Emissions.
If you are paying across the board neutral, everyone's equal.
I would actually argue with you on me producing more emissions. Do you know why?
Diesel pushes less.
Not just that.
The creation of it.
No. Diesel fuel is a runoff from the creation of gasoline.
Yeah,
it's
more
gasoline.
It's the byproduct.
Is a more refined version of diesel. If we wanted to have less emissions, we would just have everything be diesel.
Everything should be more natural.
My question is then why does it burn black the way it does?
Because that's actually the way it's supposed to go, because the trees will suck up a lot of it. But
I disagree with you.
Let me continue because I'm still on my king for an issue. The reason we have this is because government has got in and changed all these different metrics, specifically of diesel, to push out more crap. So you see people diesel roll, smoke roll, cage roll, whatever. But I do think we should have a blanket statement across the board of emissions. And if we do that, realistically, it should and will change, because throughout history, we've seen if we have a blanket things change because everyone's treated equal to a point. We should get rid of electric cars because they're horrible for the fucking environment.
Absolutely.
I have one just because it's convenient for me. That's
Right.
it. Not because it's better for the environment. It's convenient for me. We should get rid of a lot of rechargeable batteries. We should get to a point where we don't have all this disgust, this extract being put back into the environment at a point.
Well, I would disagree with you on necessarily the rechargeable batteries. I think that, and this is something I think I brought up on the podcast before.
Rechargeable by solar.
No, I think that we need to get our next level of battery technology. It's
Correct.
the giant hurdle for us.
It's where we're currently at, though.
I want to touch on something that you talked about earlier. It's like
diesel.
If a modern diesel engine is tuned correctly, it should not be rolling coal. If a diesel engine is rolling coal, it's because it's badly tuned. That's all this means.
Why are we
That's all rolling coal is a badly tuned diesel engine. And it is tuned specifically to roll coal.
And why are out of the factory we're putting all these things to make it quote unquote better for not even emissions. They say it's emissions, but it's better for breathing. Realistically, it's not.
Well, hey, guess what? We are the greenest the world has been.
Yes.
In
but that was
very
because
long
of COVID.
time. No, that's not because
it's
of COVID.
It's not because of COVID. COVID actually increased. Yes. COVID increased because the workers that still need to work still worked, and they pushed harder so they could still make a profit.
So I want to bring something up since you brought this topic up. If you are a resident of Texas, as of January 1st, 2025, you no longer have to get a state
All right, we
inspection.
We will touch on this next podcast. We're running out of time.
We are running out of time. This is a next podcast.
Next podcast, and we've touched on this, but we'll touch on it next
definitely
podcast.
Tune in on the next one
At Mike's house.
Yeah.
So